This time around we have 1998, I think it is, BMW 320 Touring. It's got to be the newest one we've had. So we have a car on the lift, and I want to go over everything that I see. Generally speaking, the car is very solid. The car comes from Germany, so obviously winters and cold weather and rust have been dealt with. And this car also had some, looks like minor repairs done, and I want to go over about what I see. By the way, it has a really nice aftermarket exhaust. Now keep in mind, in Germany, you can't just put any exhaust. It has to be built for the car. This is TA Technics, not really sure, but it looks like it's built for the E36, and it's a newer exhaust. Not recently replaced, but replaced. Okay, so let's start with the rust and floorboards and all that. So the previous repair that I could see is right here, and the nice thing is that somebody actually welded a little patch here, and this is a pretty common rusting place because it's behind that wheel. Although on this side it's all good because you actually don't have any metal, you have all plastic, so there's nothing to rust on this side. Other than that, you have some surface rust on suspension components, and these always rust first because they are not rust protected. We did dust them over slightly with some undercoat, but again, these are not to worry about because the metal is so thick. It would take 100 years for this thing to rust through, but there is surface rust on them, although it's not really bad. A lot of them actually look pretty good, and if you look at those big control arms, they actually look pretty healthy. Those cheap parts, like these washers, they have some surface rust, but it can be cleaned, and again, not rust protection on them, so they kind of rust easily. As far as floorboards and frame rails, this side over here, it looks to me like it's all original and nothing's been done here. Now what we did is around these lift points, there was some surface rust, and if you know how these lift points are actually built, they're not attached to these outer rocker panels. They actually kind of go deeper, and the rocker panel just kind of goes through it, but the core of this lift point actually goes in. So as you can see, the car is still lifted on its lift point, so they are pretty strong, but right around them there was some rust, and we used a seam sealer just to kind of fix it and make it look nicer, and to dust it over. But this side, generally speaking, is all original. You can see that rocker panel is all from the factory, and it was not replaced. So nothing was welded here, nothing was, no major repairs were done. On this side here, it looks like there was a repair done right here. You can see this is not original weld. Again, we didn't do it. We don't do any welding. We don't do any of the heavy rust repair, but just this little section was repaired. But again, the lift point is there, and you can see the car is resting on its lift point. So it was just the outer panel that was fixed. And the rest of it is original. So the rest of the rocker panel and the floorboard, this is all original. No issues with the frame rails. It looks like it's all original on both sides. No repairs done to those things. And when we look at the engine, this is actually a very good example of the little stuff that we've done. There was some surface rust here, and we just kind of cleaned it around, put some seam sealer around it, and this was not dusted over. So this is an extent of repair that we would do on a car. It's pretty much cosmetic only, and that's exactly what we did right there. And I think there was one other spot Maybe it was on this side. So just little cosmetic things. When it comes to the engine and transmission, we have not cleaned any of those components. As you can see, it's all dirty, it's all original, and it's also very dry. So there are no leaks from the trainee, there's no leaks from the engine. Engine actually runs very strong and pulls nicely. And let me see if I get the light. And as you can see, all looks good and dry. And air conditioning works. Suspension feels pretty good. I know the car had alignment done, and one of these tie rods was replaced. It's brand new. Again, pretty nice overall, and definitely very solid. Even with those repairs that were done, I mean, on our end, they were super minor, really just surface and cosmetic. And with the previous repairs done by the previous owner, you only really have this one here, which seems to be looking pretty good, and that one right here. Other than that, it's all original. The tires are still decent. Again, pretty solid, and overall pretty clean.